It's time. That's right. Football's back. There was a week off. It was the bye, and it's you, John Harris. It's me, Drew Dougherty, and you, the viewer. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching because we're pumped. We're pumped to talk. How are you, John?
Doing well. The bye was good. The bye was good for the soul. The bye was good for the body. The bye was good for trying to finish up moving. I would recommend, if you can avoid it, avoid moving during your season, whatever your season is. But it just turned out that we had to do it that way. So, yeah. And finally, hopefully, kind of turning the corner to get that done and getting ready for, man, Drew, I thought about this as I was driving in today, and I got a little longer drive now. I was thinking about this. So, your SMU Mustangs make the playoff. How awesome is that, man? There you go.
It's amazing.
So you got the playoff, and I'm not going to go off start this game against Miami. That's not where I'm going with this, but it really kind of starts with the game against Miami. And then you start getting bowl games after that. I think there's Army-Navy this Saturday, then there's one bowl game. That's it. And then we play Sunday, big full day is Sunday, NFL. Then you start getting bowl games during the week. And then Friday the 20th, that's Indiana-Notre Dame playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
Then on Saturday,
somebody needs to dig up Robert Goulet to get those. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Oh, those were great commercials.
Remember those in the 90s?
And then on Saturday the 21st, you've got the Texans playing the Chiefs at 12 noon local, 1 p.m. Or actually, they're Central Time too, 12 noon.
But the Stangs kick off an hour before that in Happy Valley.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the Stangs are, oh, wow. And then after that, you've got the Longhorns.
Big day.
Playing Clemson. And then you've got more bowl games, and you've got the Christmas Day games and Christmas and that. And then the following weekend, or I think it's maybe middle of the week, then you've got more college football playoff games. Then you've got the quarterfinals, which is actually taking place in bowl games. I mean, it's nuts.
I love it.
It's crazy. It's really, really cool. And by the way, that weekend that the Texans play the Chiefs, so you've got Stangs and Penn State going on. That game, my guess is that kicks at 11. Then we kick at 12. Texas and Clemson kicks at 4, I believe.
Yes.
Throughout that day, you also have 3 Texas high school state championship games going on. You've got the 5A Division I, and then you got the 2 6A championships that day too.
That's right.
That might be the greatest day ever in the history of Texas football. Ever.
You're right. We could go at length, and I could talk a lot longer about the SMU Mustangs, but we won't, because we're talking about the Texans and the Dolphins here on In the Lab, presented by Xfinity. Let's set the stage, John, for this Texans-Miami matchup. The Dolphins are 6-7, but this is not a 6-7 football team. At worst, you want to say, okay, they're 5-4, because that's their record with Tua Tagovailoa under center. But think about the super duper stars on this squad in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Ramsey, just to name a couple. But those two alone can take a football game, turn it on its proverbial ear. Now, the record as a whole doesn't reflect what those two guys can mean to a team and what they do. But this is a huge, huge game. No one's overlooking this within the organization, because you're gonna have your hands full with the Miami Dolphins here at NRG Stadium on Sunday. One of the many questions is, does Jalen Ramsey trail Nico Collins? Conversely, does Derek Stingley trail? This is a double-edged sword. Jalen Waddle, does he trail Tyreek Hill? I don't know what's going to happen, but I know this is a monster game, and it's the start of a 4-game stretch, John. It can get done really early as far as the playoffs go. If the Texans win on Sunday against the Dolphins and the Colts lose at Denver, you're the AFC South champs.
First of all, let me give you the right hand signal. That's SMU, right?
Yeah, a little kind of curl those up a little bit.
Yeah.
I went pony ears.
So here's something that stood out. In week 2, on Thursday night, Buffalo played Miami. It was one of Tua's worst games, at least in the last couple of years, since Mike McDaniel's been there. He had 3 interceptions in that game, and then he ended up going out of that game with a concussion. Everybody's opining about he should retire, he should never play again, all that kind of stuff. Tua's like, look, man, it's me. It's my body. Yeah. It's my head. It's my career. I can do with it what I want to, what I'm going to. And he's exactly right. Everybody's opining on it, and you don't know. Nobody knows. Only two and the doctors from Miami and all that kind of stuff. So he comes back against Arizona, which was near the end of October. From that point forward, he's thrown one interception.
It's wild.
2, 4, 6, 7 games.
And he's completing the most percentage-wise, he's got the highest completion rate.
Yeah.
It's like 74% almost.
Yeah, he's only 70% was his lowest. That was against the Jets where he threw it 47 times. He's had one interception. He's had 8, 11, 12, 14, 15. 15 touchdowns and one interception in that stretch. Like you said, Drew, he's been 70% or more through that entire time. I mean, against Buffalo's second meeting up at Buffalo, he was 89%.
Bananas.
And as a result, this whole offense has started to take off a little bit. The last 3 games he's thrown for 317 against New England, 365 in kind of a catch-up situation against Green Bay, 331 against the Jets. So he's gotten hotter and hotter and hotter. And, oh, by the way, now they're playing inside, which if there is a team that is made to play inside or in good weather, it's this Miami team like you talked about, Tyreek and Jalen. You throw in Devon Achane, Jalen Wright coming off the bench. Raheem Mostert is still a track guy with great running back skills. So, yeah, it's a
confounding team, though, because we say all these things and you hear all these superlatives about them and what they do well. But you know what else they don't do? They don't beat winning teams.
Yeah.
They've won 4 of their last 5, but that was against the Rams. It's a 1 win they have this season against a team with a record above 500.
That's a good win, yep.
But they beat the Raiders by 15. That's a good win. Mm-hmm. They beat the Patriots by 19. That's a good win.
Yep.
Got by the Jets last week, but they've lost to the Packers. They've lost to the Bills both times. Mm-hmm. Lost the Cardinals. The Colts got them. Had to come back, a furious comeback in week 1 to beat the Jaguars, but that's a different team from week 1 to now. Lost to the Seahawks. You lost to the Titans, too. Different teams, yeah. But it's a confounding team because they've got all these phenomenal things going in their favor, but they've not beaten good teams. And they've got some pretty bad losses in there. I just don't know how to figure them out. I just don't know this. The Texans need a win, need it badly. So let's get our glasses. Let's raise a glass to football in December. That's pretty darn meaningful for the Texans. This is a big stretch coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun. And so with all that in mind, John, I want to get your cream of the cropper, and I'm going to supersede you. I'm going to go with Stingley. Derek Stingley Jr. is my cream of the cropper, meaning, hold on. We got to let Randy Macho Man Savage in.
The cream of the crop.
Thank you, Macho Man. So if the Texans come away victoriously around 3:30, they've got a W under the belt, it's going to be because this guy, Derek Stingley Jr., was a cream of the crop award winner. He's going to get tested. I don't know if it's going to be by Waddle. I don't know if it's going to be by Hill, if it's a combo of both, somebody else. But nevertheless, he is going to get tested. You're going to need Derek Stingley at his best. He's got 3 picks this year, 1 behind Kalen Bullock for the team lead. Does he catch Bullock? Maybe. But based on what Tua's done, it's going to be tough to do. So let's get Stingley as my cream of the cropper. You like that one?
I absolutely love it. Since you went defense, I'll spread some of the cream of the crop love over to the offense. And I am going to put the challenge and hopefully the response to the challenge on one Titus Howard.
Yeah.
And I say that because Miami's lost Jalen Phillips. I think Jalen Phillips is the best pass rusher they have when he's fully healthy, but he just hasn't been healthy the last couple of years, and that's taken away from it. Now, Bradley Chubb, it looks like, is going to return, but that's not who really worries me out on the edge for the most part. Chop Robinson, the rookie out of Penn State. Who's got, it's a fair way of saying this, he's got explosiveness oozing out of his pores. He's super quick off the football. He's got a few offsides penalties because he just is so fast. He will jump the snap a little bit, but he is twitch all day long. Titus did a pretty good job against Micah Parsons. Now, I think Chop is a little twitchier than Micah, but Micah's a little bit bigger and stronger than Chop is. But that is going to be a challenge for Titus Howard. And Titus has got to be able to prove that he can handle that one-on-one. Because if you have to help on Seiler, AFC Defensive Player of the Week, who had a great week against the Jets, you got to maybe give some help there, maybe use the backs, however they're going to do it. But Chop is a problem. He's really picked his game up the last probably 4 or 5 weeks, and that may not always be Titus. That could be Laramie as well, but I think my guess is they'll probably try and put Chop. When I've watched him, he's been a little bit more on the left side than the right side. So that's my guess, is he'll be on the left side against Titus. So Titus has got to come up. Now, you want to get to a point where you can use the tight ends in all the passing capacity that you can think of.
Mm-hmm.
You'd love to be able to protect 5 against 5, 5 against 4, 5 maybe even against 3. And maybe 5 against 6, and let CJ kind of handle the 6 rusher, just getting rid of the ball quickly. So you'd like to be able to, because I almost went with Creamy Cropper, Dalton Schultz. I almost did that. But I thought, I think the tight ends as a whole, I almost thought about that as Creamy the Crop, because I think Cade's got to do some things. Irv Smith did some good things. We'll see whether Andrew Beck might be involved a little bit more this week and used off the practice squad. But then I thought, no, this game is Chop Robinson against Titus Howard. And you got to keep Chop away from CJ Stroud. He's not the biggest guy in the world. So if Titus can get hands on him and lock for more than 3 seconds, then CJ's going to have time to throw in it. That's exactly what this offense needs.
I like it. It's going to be a good one. This is nothing to overlook. I don't think anyone would be overlooking it, because you thought at the start of the season that's going to be a tough game.
Yep.
You look at that 3-game stretch, which has been discussed time and time again.
I'll ask you this, Drew. Compared to how you felt at the beginning of the year, what you thought about this Miami game, going into the Miami week now, how has your not attitude, but how has your kind of thought process on Miami in this game changed, if at all, from what you felt like back in July, August to what you feel like now?
It's not. I didn't think their record would be 6-7. I thought it'd be much better, but Tua's healthy and his weapons are healthy, and that they can, they've won 4 of their last 5. Now, it hasn't been against great opponents, but still they're on a roll. They need this if they want to play in the postseason, and they do. So this is going to be a tough game. To answer your question, it's not changed at all.
Same.
At all.
Same.
I thought this was going to be a really good team. I think this is a pretty darn good team right now. And if nothing else, if they're not good, they're at least very, very dangerous. Very dangerous.
You hit it right on the head. Nothing's changed really for me, the way that I think about this, other than, I did think Miami would have had a little bit better record. But if you go back and look at the games that Miami lost, they lost those games without Tua. Tua gets hurt in that game against the Bills. Then they lose Seahawks, Titans. Now they beat the Patriots, then had a bye week, came back from the Colts, and I believe it was the Arizona game. Now, they ended up losing the Arizona game. They lost by 1. They lost to the Bills. They played much better the second time up in Buffalo, lost by 3. Then they've won 4 out of the last 5 with Tua. The only game they lost up in the cold of Thanksgiving night in Green Bay.
Right.
Well, that's not something that you're going to be able to provide, I don't think, on Sunday for Tua, is to play in the cold. I don't think anybody wants that. So it's funny, because I thought about all the things that change during a season. The exact way we thought about the Dolphins back in July and August is the exact way I'm thinking about them right now.
Their record, the only thing is their record doesn't reflect
exactly
what we thought about them. We still think
crazy.
It is. That's a good question, the way you frame that. I like that. It's going to be a tough one, and it's going to be a challenging one, but goodness gracious, we could go to bed on Sunday night with the Texans being the AFC South champions. That's a fun thing to consider.
Magic number's 2, baby.
I know.
Magic number is 2.
And everyone, I know you know John, and I know John, but let's just, for anyone out there that's saying, magic number, what are these guys talking about?
Yeah.
That means any combination of these 3 things. If the Texans win 2 games, they win the AFC South. If the Texans win 1 more game the rest of the way, and the Colts lose 1 more game the rest of the way, that's 2. Texans are the AFC South champions. If the Texans lose out, but the Colts lose 2 more games, Texans are the AFC South champs. So 2. Keep that in mind. Utah, give me 2.
Yeah. Any combination. Texas wins, Colts losses. Now, I don't know about ties. I'm not.
We don't consider that, because it's not something we consider on.
Yeah. It only happened in 2022 week 1.
Yeah.
So, any combination, Texans win. So it can happen. We play at noon, beat a really good Miami team, go home and watch the afternoon and see whether the Broncos can pull it off and beat the Colts out in Denver. And if they can do that, There's your 2. Then it gets all kinds of interesting as far as seating and all that. But you got to take care of the 2 first. But the one you can control is the one here against Miami. So looking forward to that.
Let's do it. All right. We like Magic too. I'll show you sometime if we're ever in a place where cigarettes are smoked. I don't smoke cigarettes, or cigars.
Right.
If we're ever in one of those places, I'm going to show you the magic ashes trick. Sound good, John?
Magic ashes. Oh, man. I can't wait. I love magic tricks, man. Yes.
I can make magic ashes appear in your palm of your hand. And I didn't go to magic camp like Michael Scott did or wanted to when he was an adult in the office. All right. On that note, we got to wrap this up. This has been In the Lab presented by Xfinity. We love that you're watching and or listening because, he and I and you, it's a 3-person party here. Love you. See you later. Go Texans. H is up. Here we go.